Picture this. July 20th, 1969, Apollo 11 allegedly lands on the moon. But what if it was all an elaborate hoax? Welcome to the intriguing world of the moon landing hoax theory. This theory boldly claims that the Apollo 11 mission was an elaborate stage show directed by the US government. Now, the skeptics point to several supposed inconsistencies that they believe expose the grand deception. First, they argue about the flag's movement, claiming it suggests the presence of wind or external support. Then, there's the issue of inconsistent shadows, which they interpret as evidence of multiple light sources. The absence of stars in the photos is another point of contention, as is the even lighting on the astronauts' suits, which some attribute to studio lighting. These are the claims that fuel the moon landing hoax theory. But are they valid? Stay tuned as we delve deeper into these claims and their counterarguments. Scene script. Let's dissect the claims one by one, starting with the flag movement. Many skeptics point to the apparent wave in the American flag planted on the moon as evidence of a hoax, arguing it suggests the presence of wind or some form of support. However, the simple explanation is momentum in a vacuum. In an environment devoid of air resistance, such as the moon, a flag will continue to move after being disturbed, creating the illusion of it fluttering in the wind. Moving on to the inconsistent shadows. Critics argue that the uneven shadows in the moon landing photos suggest multiple light sources, implying the use of a studio setup. But this is a misunderstanding of how light interacts with the lunar terrain. The moon's surface is not flat, it's filled with hills, craters, and rocks that can distort shadows. Combine this with the low angle of the sun, and you have a perfect recipe for seemingly inconsistent shadows. Next up, the lack of stars. Some conspiracy theorists claim that the absence of stars in the moon landing photos is a sure sign of a fake landing. But this claim overlooks one crucial detail: the strong sunlight exposure on the moon's surface. When the astronauts took these photos, the lunar surface was brightly lit by sunlight, causing the camera's exposure to be set to a level that made the stars invisible. Lastly, the even lighting on the astronauts' suits. Some people attribute this to a studio setup. The truth? It's actually caused by lunar dust scattering sunlight. The moon's surface is covered in a fine dust that reflects sunlight, providing a soft, even illumination. So you see, each of these claims can be explained scientifically. The flag's movement is due to momentum in a vacuum. The uneven shadows are a result of the lunar terrain and the sun's angle. The absence of stars is due to the strong sunlight exposure, and the even lighting on the suits is a result of sunlight scattering off lunar dust. It seems like science has a rational explanation for each of these claims, doesn't it? Now, let's shift our focus to the evidence that supports the moon landing. Firstly, consider the moon rocks brought back by the Apollo missions. Scientists have found that these rocks match lunar geology, distinctly different from any terrestrial rocks. They contain isotopes not found on Earth and show signs of exposure to the cosmic environment. This is solid, tangible evidence that something or someone has been on the moon. Next, let's talk about the retroreflectors left on the lunar surface. These devices allow scientists to measure the precise distance between Earth and the moon by bouncing lasers off them. This wouldn't be possible if the reflectors weren't physically there on the moon's surface. Lastly, observations by amateur astronomers worldwide support the moon landing. These stargazers have tracked the Apollo missions, watched the spacecrafts travel to the moon, and some have even spotted the landing sites through their telescopes. The evidence favoring the moon landing seems compelling, but the debate continues. So, what drives this theory? The answer is skepticism of the government, fueled by past deceptions. Now, isn't that an interesting thought? Many theorists are motivated by a disbelief in the powers that be, a seed of doubt planted by past instances where the truth was manipulated. The moon landing hoax theory is a prime example of such skepticism, with theorists questioning the authenticity of the Apollo 11 mission. It's important to remember that questioning is healthy. It's a cornerstone of human curiosity, and a driving force behind scientific discovery. It's also crucial to do your own research, delve into the details, and form your own opinion. Don't just accept what's fed to you. Despite the claims, the evidence overwhelmingly supports the reality of the moon landings. But remember, rational analysis and comprehensive evidence lead to informed conclusions. So, in the end, the truth is out there, waiting to be discovered. So, what's your take on this?